Hello and welcome to another Office Hours. Caps. That's right. A small section of my Office Hours live stream that I do on Thursdays live at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroPub live, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Would love to have you come down and join chat here as we talk about Star Citizen lore, news, and more. It's a long live stream. We've been going on for almost 4 hours. We typically go about 4 hours. But because it goes for 4 hours and a lot of people don't want to watch a full live stream, I do these little segments which are pulled out specifically for YouTube, so I'm focusing more on y'all and hopefully giving you some good content. Without any further ado, let's get to the main attraction for today. I need to fix the audio real quick. There we go. Don't get interrupted. The PU monthly report for March of 2025. We've been doing this for a while, so note that I may reference a couple of things here and there. This is not a summary. This is a full read-through. I read from the beginning to the end, and I'll give you some context because sometimes I'll talk about, last month or per the earlier what we've been doing to give you context on what's been said. So, without any further ado, let's get started. All right. PU Monthly Report features progress on the variety of ongoing developments and initiatives, including the recent release of Alpha 4.1, upcoming vehicles, AI work, and mission content. Read on for the latest updates. AI content. For the recent debut of Star Citizen's first alien NPC, Riccolo, by the way, check. There will be a Banu primer on the lore of the Banu on the Astro Historian, which is my other channel that I run on lore. Check that out. It won't be out by the time this video releases, but it should be out for my Patreons by this weekend. So keep an eye out for that, and then everybody else. AI content worked alongside the narrative design and animation, audio, and character art teams to prototype the characters' general and air traffic control behaviors. The team also took a more active role in prepping the incoming audio and animation files from the recent capture sessions. Development continued on new behaviors to support some of the story developments happening in the verse in the coming months. Finally, for AI, they revisited issues in the population behaviors of existing landing zones. AI features. In March, AI features priority was the Vala car, specifically the juvenile variant. As part of the polishing phase, new functionality was added to support upcoming gameplay, including replacing ineffective melee attacks with a submerge and relocate behavior when the player gets close. New burrowing modes were also added that allow the creature to submerge on the spot rather than dive into a new position. New firing modes were added to give better control over fire rate and damage per shot, depending on whether the target is on the ground or the air. Bespoke firing animations were also added when firing at angles. I've noticed that the AI does actually shoot at vehicles if you get too close with them. So it'll actually shoot at the vehicle. The team also iterated on Copian, integrating new chase technology for more effective attacks, including. For human combat, iteration continued on the first reaction flow escalation, specifically focusing on the animation setup for usables so that it works well if the AI is sitting in a chair, leaning on a railing, or crouching to inspect a panel. The team also progressed with reaction animations for when the AI detects compromised cover. This allows NPCs to appear more responsive to the actions of the player and react appropriately to new threats. That's, I think, specifically for Maelstrom, so when your cover gets blown away, they'll move. Similarly, the team is refactoring response to combat tactic events, such as needing to reload. This is now done within the tactic behavior itself rather than at a high level, which allows for customization depending on the current situation, leading to better and more responsive behavior. AI Game Intelligence Development Team. In March, the Game Intelligence Development had two main focuses: the full implementation of views and organization, and analysis for Mission System 2.0. Okay. For views, feature-related tasks are now functional in StarScript, including representation in the script graph. The team also included the new input and output visuals, which makes them more distinctive, while information on the task number was added. An update was also made to the master graph to integrate views into various functional states. This is still a work in progress, with internal testing beginning soon. Mission system. Devs continued to explore ways to build a system that will be more efficient and simpler for the game designer to use. For those of you who don't know, one of the big objectives of this sort of hardening phase of development that CIG has decided to do at the beginning of this year is to fix a lot of older systems that need to be updated. One of the big ones, which is the current major focus after transportation system has sort of been fixed, is the mission system. And so this new mission system is supposed to be the final mission system for the game, which the current system is sort of halfway in between what they want it to be. So they have to completely overhaul the mission logic and do other things. So the idea that they're doing, they're exploring how to do AI to make the AI more functional, or make it easier just to plop in an AI and mission designer could use it rather than having to bespokely create one, is neat. A good indication, though, that they're working on mission systems. Probably not going to be finished anytime soon if they're just still coming up with concepts, but typically CIG tends to rotate every 6 to 9 months. So if they're coming up with concepts in March, they're probably working between April and the end of the year. So we might see Mission System 2.0 before the end of the year. AI tech. Last month, AI tech continued to work on features that will improve over. And I'll reverse that. We actually may see it sooner. It's just we may not see customizable AI until they get that part done. Last month, AI continued to work on features that will improve overall detail and quality, including finalizing the work for the Spatial Priority Solver and Priority Beacon system. They also integrated these features into navigation, Pathfinder, and tactical point systems to help better prioritize and solve for requests sent by NPCs close to players. Regarding tools, work was completed on StarScript views to allow designers to group behavior functions like callback logic. Following this, work began on visualization improvements of the subsumption master graph. Additional adjustments were made to AI ship logic to enable it to work correctly with the new flight modes. The team is currently working on NPC cover generation, optimizing spaces where cover will be generated, allowing it to be marked with various flags for better context during combat scenarios. For the navigation system, the devs fixed various bugs, including issues with the tile triangulation generation, cases, and object container export case-related navigation data. They're currently progressing with improvements to 3D navigation for spaceships and NPCs in EVA. There's been multiple references to EVA NPCs, which we haven't really seen in the verse, so my guess is they're working on mostly squadron NPCs, but they may be still finally adding NPCs EVAing in Star Citizen. We'll see. Animation. The animation team continued developing various sizes of Valacar alongside making updates to the Copian. They also added AI background animations and added disabled animations, the Argo ATLS. New AI facial animation content was completed too, including for the Banu mission giver, Riccolo. Art characters. In March, the character AI art team continued to work on new creatures for the PU alongside Starware Art Debt. Starware Art Debt is just basically making sure that the older systems work system Starware. So old gear and stuff like that to allow you to wear like coats over your jackets and those sorts of things. They also kicked off new heavy armor and continued creating various rewards. The concept art team also explored ideas for new in-game rewards and armor. Art ships. In March, the UK-based vehicle content team completed the Drake Golem mining ship, the Argo Atlas Geo mining power suit. MISC Starlancer TAC moved into final development phase, while the Consolidated Outland Pioneer progressed through Whitebox, benefiting from the additional concept work shown during the recent episode of Star Citizen Live. I'm going to go on a limb here and say that it's likely that we're going to see the TAC at Invictus. I usually say that, ILW, Invictus Launch Week. That's going to happen in May. That's likely one of the ships that's releasing in Invictus. Typically for the events, they have 3 ships, sometimes more, but at least 3 ships are released during any of the major events. And as been pointed out to me earlier, every month has had a single ship release, minimum of a single ship release since August. So even up to March has had one. January, February, and March have all had a release. We're likely going to have one for April as well. And we're likely going to have one. So obviously 3 for May. Invictus is May. And you're going to see this a lot here. There's like 11 concept ships, or 11 ships, not concept, 11 ships in total between concept, straight to flyable, and new ships that are being released. Old ships that are being released. I don't know if that worked or not. An unannounced vehicle successfully passed gray box review and moved onto the Laud Zero phase. The Laud Zero is the phase between gray box and final art, so it's in the last phase before final art. 2 other vehicles received bug fixing pass and final content work ahead of their release. So there's two more vehicle ships that are going to come in. Probably one, at least, of that is for release in April, and then another one's going to be released for May. Would be my guess. And another new ship is currently being prepared for its gray box gate review. So, one ship for at least one ship for this month, possibly a vehicle, more likely a ship for Invictus and the TAC, the Starlancer TAC as well. And another new ship is currently being prepared for its gray box gate review. The North American-based team progressed with 2 upcoming RSI ships. The first, the Apollo, that's likely going to be the thumbnail right there because everyone loves the Apollo, successfully passed its white box review phase, a gate, and moved into gray box with support from the concept team on the medical room design. Some aspects progressed significantly due to the utilization of extensive RSI kit created for the Zeus and Polaris. The second, the RSI Perseus, passed its white box review at the start of March. Like the Apollo, some areas progressed visually thanks to the RSI kit. So, I think it's comfortable to say that the RSI Perseus is not going to be released for Invictus. We may see the exterior at Invictus, but almost certainly will not see the ship at Invictus. The size of the ship is slightly smaller than the Hammerhead, so it's a pretty big ship, similar in size to something like the Starlancer. Possibly even smaller than the Starlancer. And that can take some time. So if it's just now exiting white box and entering gray box, it still needs to go to Laud Zero, final art, and then release. So it may be in Laud Zero by May, but I doubt it. It'd probably still be in gray box. So based off that current trajectory, I would say maybe at the end of the year. There is no mention of the Ironclad in this. I'm going to spoil that right now. So almost certainly we're not getting the Ironclad at Invictus, because they would have probably said something in this case. But we're probably going to get both the Perseus and the Ironclad towards the end of this year. Ironclad has got IAE all over it. Perseus has, Citizen Con written all over it. So we'll see. Though I'm a little sad because I'd hope that the RSI Perseus might get released at Invictus because it's the perfect ship to release at Invictus, but TAC is good too. Work continued on 3 unannounced vehicles too. A variant of a popular ship passed gray box review. Another variant is approaching gray box review, while an all-new model entered production and in preparation for its white box review in early April. So that is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 total ships being announced here. Plus, we know that the Ironclad is also being worked on, so at least 11, possibly more. Plus, there's just references of like a variant of a popular ship. So that wasn't in the like silhouettes. So interesting to see that. Community. The community team kicked off March with the support for Stella Fortuna, launching the bar crawl screenshot and publishing a catch-all post highlighting the exciting activities of players. For Alpha 4.1, the team published a detailed catch-all post QAs for the Drake Golem and the Argo Atlas Geo, and a patch watch highlighting upcoming features, improvements, and fixes not included in the roadmap. The team spent time with our developer and MTL to help detail our upcoming referral revamp, which aims to include better rewards more frequently. The team also continued mapping out event-related plans for the year, including support for Bar Citizen World Tour and upcoming International Bar Citizen Weekend. Evergreen tasks continued throughout the month, including regular publications like the weekly This Week in Star Citizen, bi-weekly roadmap updates, and the monthly refresh of the schedule. The team maintained their commitment to capturing player feedback, directly channeling community insights to development teams. Additionally, the community team supported and celebrated the 10th anniversary of the Crux Cup, organized by NZ Racing. We're currently preparing for the upcoming community meetups throughout the 2025 Bar Citizen World Tour. Lastly, they launched Squadron 42 Newsletter's Vandal Interpreter Contest, offering another opportunity for the community to deep dive into Squadron 42, with participants competing for the chance to win rare Vandal Scythe. All right, core gameplay. Core gameplay is always super long, so a lot of stuff here. For the Argo ATLS Geo, the core gameplay team completed the suit's mining and thruster functionality, added a health bar and damage states, and supported additional improvements to the base ATLS. They also improved the first version of the weapon overheat mechanic to the Volt Parallax energy rifle, which enables the player to engage the secondary fire mode at the risk of overheating. More weapons will gain overheat mechanics in the future. Progress was made on engineering gameplay throughout March, with core gameplay supporting various teams with resource network issues and bugs. They also added auto-throttling, which reverts to a lower powered-off state if an item doesn't have power during an update. Some engineering updates. Changes were made to vehicle coolant. Now, effectiveness is based on the item's physical properties, with a specific amount of coolant counteracting heating caused by equal amount of power. Coolant consumption uses deltas with dynamic override. The maximum coolant request is based on the maximum power consumption multiplied by the resource network parameter. The team also made progress towards implementing heat gameplay for ship thrusters. This involved adding filters to engineering UI to allow players to only see items of particular category. For example, all weapons or all items with malfunctions. Selection improvements were also made to the UI. Now left click will cycle through two closest items, useful for doors covering components, and right-click will show all overlapping items selection. Work also completed towards item recovery Tier 0, with various items being added to blacklists alongside fixes for related respawn flow issues. Progress was made on FPS radar and scanning. Now item components can be detected within vehicles while players inside, excluded when outside. Features debug tools were improved too. The ongoing transit system rework, known as the transport system, progressed throughout March, with the team adding a setup validation, and debugging for non-physicalized carriages to better detect setup issues. The ability to connect carriage zones by transport network, mini-map routing, was added, as were destination categories and priorities along the means of display destinations for carriage panels. A reward mechanic for collection missions was implemented, which is used for the collector missions, which is the Wicklow missions, while the ability to automatically retrieve items from freight or ship elevators via HUD notifications was added. For the mission system, the team fixed a bug preventing introductory contracts not counting towards difficulty progression. Sharing prerequisites was also implemented. This allows players to invite others to accept contracts they would otherwise be ineligible for by providing they meet a specific requirement, such as locality or reputation. Time was also spent fixing bugs and improving robustness of the new player experience, alongside solving issues caused by various missions being disabled. Comms notifications progressed too, including a one-way comms call from mission givers to the players, and comms notifications being triggered by changing mission states, such as completed or failed. Mission designers can now trigger comms notifications from mission logic. They also began implementing 3D building blocks to display more interesting scenes, as the previous method was no longer supported by server meshing. Finally, for core gameplay, improvements were made to commodity kiosks for better flow transactions, while fixes were made for bugs relating to hangars, freight elevators, and ship deliveries. The big thing here is engineering got a lot of work done. There's a ton of engineering in here, including overheat, more granular notions with things like the engineering panels, overheating for thrusters and thrusters turning off and on based off of wear and tear and power, which good. Malfunctions to weapons or different items, and being able to sort through with different UI categories. So a lot of engineering stuff being done, proving that CIG is still working on features, even if they're not may not end up coming out this year. They're definitely still working on them, and hopefully we'll see them in something like a preview build, like an EPTU before soon, but I'm not going to get my hopes up quite yet. Economy. The economy team provided balancing support for supplier and die. Ooh, that was bad. With devs deeming it overtuned on release, meaning you could easily make a lot of money on it. Economy worked with the mission design to address the issues quickly as possible without imposing hard limits. Going forward, both teams will collaborate more closely to establish a stable and holistic approach to balancing open-end missions with multiple solutions. Hey, at least CIG is learning. All right, I'm gonna give some CIG some slack and when these mission stuff, if long as they are learning mistakes and fixing the problems. Problems with the missions are not a problem as long as they learn the lesson and improve next time. And so far, it's been getting better slightly every time. So slow but steady. Hopefully by the end of this year, we're not sitting in a fight for pyro situation again. Graphics, VFX programming, and Planet Tech. Last month, the graphics team overhauled GPU memory management. This allowed them to add new options, a visualization of GPU memory required for each, and auto detection for suitable resolution, upscaling, and graphics. Gas clouds received a major visual upgrade thanks to the same density, shaping, and shading technology used by planetary clouds. Global illumination was upgraded too, with improvements to the image stability and accuracy of both diffuse and specular reflections. Planetech V5 continued to make good progress, with the team finalizing the distribution and shading of much denser rock formations, with more physically plausible placement. Virtual terrain system is also closer to completion, with runtime compression being next. The VFX programming team polished several features, such as fire, networking bandwidth, damage maps, and creatures. Vulkan stability was also improved after discussions with NVIDIA led to diagnosis of the two potential issues, one in the driver and one in game. Workarounds to both were being added for the latest PT patch. Mission design. March saw mission design continuing to fix up various older missions that were deprioritized in the refactor. Alpha 4.1 was unveiled to the community on the PTU, introducing a new sandbox activity that players can engage with items. There's a big push for increased production value on missions, with a lot of departments helping out to ensure the experience is the best we can. Mission design team. The team also worked on the Rayari and Wicklow, two new mission givers who require items found during missions. Problem. Narrative. Aligning with the increased release schedule cadence, Alpha 4.1 was a major focus for the narrative team in March. For the new Hathor orbital mining facilities, this included adding discoverable data pads around the site, polishing numerous missions that utilize the new locations, and working with art to improve directional signage. The patch release also brings a major milestone for Star Citizen's first alien NPC, the Banu trader Wicklow. They had a lot of fun creating the character and making the Emporium a place for players would enjoy exploring. Narrative team. Narrative also ran a capture session that focused on adding dialogue to several upcoming missions, as well as introducing two new faction representatives who players will work with during specific contracts. Thank you. God, thank you. Whew. Additionally, the team helped the refactor some old missions with updated contracts. There's also ongoing work with design to refine some of the locations coming this year to ensure they provide a rich narrative experience. Right. Online technology. In March, the Live Tools team focused on improving the usability of the main support tool, X. The online services team worked on the first pass of the services ecosystem to support upcoming development by the gameplay teams. Various social improvements were made, including optimizations to kicking members from groups, the create group flow, and rollback strategy for the add members flow. They also added metrics to identify the origins of the SkillaDB queries, reset request log options and configurations to specify the maximum number of requests. For analytics, configurations were added for HTTP clients to enable Kafka connections. For missions, entities were removed from the shard tag, while the mission system was updated too. It sounds like we're getting new updates to the mission system. Maybe not the mission system 2.0 fully, but it's there. R&D. In March, gas cloud detail rendering was improved using techniques used by planetary volume clouds. Now the artist can refine the density provided by the original gas cloud volume base, B, via procedural noise using runtime shaping and erosion calculations. Moreover, edge albedo can be controlled to further emphasize the cloud's volumetric structure. Additionally, a configurable gradient was added to control the blend between the original and shaped density. This allows for the team to keep the density of the original BDB data in thin areas of clouds while adding more detail to denser areas. For dynamic weather, the rain volume calculation was improved to ease content authoring. Vertical distribution along the local height of lighting events was also refined. Furthermore, the volumetric rendering of lighting was enhanced by providing more flexibility in controlling the lighting and gradient. Tech design. Tech design spent March working on an upcoming in-game event, supporting mission design with gameplay, entity, and logic flow setup. Effects. VFX progressed with their tasks for the Valakar. They also supported the locations team with effects for Alpha 4.1's new mission locations, including the orbital laser platform, borehole cave, and satellite dish. Cool. So, let's do a quick summary. Lots of stuff for the Line and Mine mission with the Hathor stations and the Valakar. Some new stuff on volumetric clouds, which is something they've been doing for a while. And I'm trying to improve it because I do want to. I think even with 4.1, you can't turn off the clouds anymore. It's now locked. You have to have the clouds on, so they're trying to quality of them. My hair's new updates to the mission system, new updates to narrative with lots of pushes for the current event, which is not quite in game yet, the Regen Crisis, as well as the Line and Mine mission and Wicklow, the addition of Wicklow, the first Banu, the first alien in the game, which is good. And all of the missions and the rewards that the Banu give. Let's see, the economy had to eat some crow and go back and fix some problems. And the core gameplay, ATLS and the ATLS improvements, lots of engineering stuff, some scanning stuff, and the new transit system. Just all good stuff to see. 10 new ships in production in some way, shape, or form, with at least 3 coming in the next 2 months, with obviously a ship a month is their goal, it seems to be at least. And AI tech, including support for the new missions, as well as better AI stuff for the Valakar, for other features, for NPCs in general. So a lot of sort of some fixes, but of course new features as well. And of course, the big one, the Apollo and the Perseus are now into gray box, which means they're only 2 steps away from release. Still some time, but soon. Probably not Invictus, but soon. As always, I want to hear, or first off, before you do that, as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon to be notified when we release. Join us live at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheAstroPub live on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. To join chat here live, they're going to lie to you and tell you this is pre-recorded, which technically is true because you're watching this after the fact. But with them, it is live, so don't believe them. And yeah, like I always say, I want to hear your thoughts down below. Does this fill you with hope? When do you think the Perseus is coming out in the Apollo? Do you still believe it's coming out for Invictus? What are your thoughts on the new Align and Mine missions? All of those, let me know down in the comments and below. And as I always say, thank you for watching. See you someday in the black.